Hello students, welcome back to our channel. In the previous lecture we have discussed about rules of differentiation and also seen some complicated cases where we were using implicit differentiation, logarithmic differentiation and Leibniz rule. Let me give you a quick summary by solving problems based on that. So I am taking first one, that is implicit differentiation. What I told you, that what are implicit functions? Implicit functions are those in which the separation of variable is not possible. Let me take one example. If I am taking x raised to power 2 by 3 plus y raised to power 2 by 3 is equals to a raised to power 2 by 3. See here, this is a constant, okay? This is not a variable. Variable is only x and y. So how we calculate dy by dx? We will differentiate it with respect to x. So by differentiating it, what will we get? 2 by 3 x raised to power 2 by 3 minus 1 plus 2 by 3 y raised to power 2 by 3 minus 1 dy by dx is equals to 0, since this is constant. So dy by dx will be minus of x raised to power minus 1 by 3 divided by y raised to power minus 1 by 3. You can write it as minus y raised to power 1 by 3 and x raised to power 1 by 3. Also you can write it as cubic root of y by x. Yes or no? Okay, now implicit differentiation says that you can solve a question by two methods. This is a normal approach. Now you can calculate this implicit functions differentiation by using this formula. This is a direct approach, that is dy by dx will be minus del f by del x divided by del f by del y. This is nothing but partial differentiation of function with respect to x and partial differentiation of function with respect to y. Means you can write this function as x raised to power 2 by 3 plus y raised to power 2 by 3 minus a raised to power 2 by 3 is equals to 0. Yes or no? So this is nothing but f function of x y. This whole function is what? X function of x and y. So x raised to power 2 by 3 plus y raised to power 2 by 3 a raised to power 2 by 3. So partial differentiation of this function with respect to x means what? We can only consider x as variable. Other variables are constant, will be constant if we partially differentiate this function with respect to x. Okay, now partially differentiating it, we get minus 2 by 3 x raised to power 2 by 3 minus 1 and 2 by 3 y raised to power 2 by 3 minus 1. From here we are also getting this value y raised to power 1 by 3 and x raised to power 1 by 3. So it's your choice which method you will use. Okay, now one example from logarithmic differentiation. I'm taking example as y is equals to cos of x raised to power x. What I told you in logarithmic differentiation, that in this type of differentiation we take log on both sides. So first we differentiate it. We have dy by dx is equals to, differentiate it with respect to x, we will get minus sine of x raised to power x and dy by dx of x raised to power x. Since, see here, we take logarithmic differentiation of which type of function, in which y is equals to fx raised to power gx. Okay, this function was not in the form of direct form of fx raised to power gx. But see here, this function, that is x raised to power x, is in the form of this, and we have to calculate the differentiation of this x raised to power x, let us say, is at z. So what we do, we will apply logarithmic differentiation. So taking log on both the sides, log of z will be x log of x. Now differentiate it, 1 by z dz by dx. This will be x into 1 by x plus log of x. So dz by dx means differentiation of this function will be nothing but z into 1 plus log x, and z is what? X raised to power x. So x raised to power x 1 plus log x. This is the differentiation of this function x raised to power x. Now put this value in this equation and you will find the differentiation of this whole function. So overall differentiation will be dy by dx will be minus sine x raised to power x raised to power x 1 plus log of x. Okay, let us take one example from Leibniz rule. Fx e raised to power x x minus 1 x minus 2 dx. Now what I told you in Leibniz rule, that to calculate, to find the differentiation of this type of function, that this is in integration form, what will we do? We do nothing but dy by dx fx. We put upper limit first here, that is fx. Okay, and differentiation of this upper limit with respect to x minus, again we put the lower limit in the function and then differentiate with it with respect to x. So differentiation of constant is nothing but 0. This whole term will be 0, and f of x will be only this e raised to power x x minus 1 x minus 2, and differentiation of x is 1. So this is our final result. Okay, now let us move to the another topic, that is application of derivatives, where we use derivatives. So here I am writing few lists where derivatives are used. First one is in increasing and decreasing functions. Second one, maxima and minima. In this also two sub points are arise, that is relative maxima and minima, and second one is absolute maxima and minima. Third is Taylor's and Maclaurin's series expansion of function, and fourth one slope determination of function. Let us start with our first application, that is increasing and decreasing functions. Write down the topic: increasing and decreasing function. At first you tell me, if I have given you function like this, a function fx, like this, and I'm asking that tell me when this function fx is positive and when this function is negative. What will you say? If I take this point as a, b and c, so fx is positive. You will say that fx is, when the value of fx is positive, then fx is positive, that is above x-axis. Yes or no? Means fx is positive when value of fx is positive, in positive value, that is above x-axis. So see in this figure, where the function is positive, in between a and b and after c. So x is positive between point a and b and greater than c, and fx is negative. When fx is negative, when the value of fx is negative, that is below x-axis. So this part of fx between b and c and before a, these parts are those where the value of fx is negative. So you can say that fx is negative when x is less than a and x is in between b and c. Yes or no? Now coming to the term increasing and decreasing. When will you say that this function is increasing and when will you say that this function is decreasing? See here, increasing and decreasing, and this fx is positive and negative, these two are different terms. Okay, don't make perception that that these two are similar things. Okay, now coming to the term increasing and decreasing. When will you say that this function is increasing and when will you say that this function is decreasing? You can someone simply says that ma'am, if x is increasing, y should also be increasing, and if x is decreasing, y should also be decreasing. That is, rate of change of y with respect to x should be positive, and rate of change of y with respect to positive in case of increasing function. Means I am saying that, see here, for increasing function I am saying that when x is increasing, y should also increase, that is fx should also increase. Yes or no? And for decreasing function, when x is decreasing, fx should increase. See here, in increasing, two cases are present. I will explain it by a graph. First let me explain it. See, if a function is increasing, this is an increasing function, yes or no? You can see it clearly that this is increasing in this interval a comma b. If you take here fx1 and fx2. This is x1, this is x2. See, when x is increasing, fx is also increasing. Yes or no? You can also say that when x is decreasing, fx is also decreasing. Okay, means in case of increasing function, two terms are there. When x increases, fx also increases, and when x decreases, fx should also decrease. These are the conditions for increasing function. You can also say that dy by dx should be greater than 0. In this increasing function, see here, at every point dy by dx will be greater than 0. Yes or no? Now for decreasing function, this is a decreasing function. This is x1, x2, fx1 and fx2. This was increasing. Okay, come here. So at x1, see, fx1 is greater than fx2, means when we move from x1 to x2, fx1 is decreasing. See here, x1 is increasing but fx1 is decreasing. So for decreasing function, when x is increases, fx is decreases. You can also say that from here, see, when x is decreasing, this function is increasing. So in decreasing functions, there are two conditions, that is when x increases, fx decreases, and when x decreases, fx increases. Also for this, dy by dx should be less than 0, that is negative. Okay, there is one more point. There is also a term monotonically increasing or monotonically decreasing function. You can also say it as strict decreasing and strict increasing. Now what is strict increasing and strict decreasing? These two are the examples of strict increasing and strict decreasing. Now you will ask me, then what is increasing? In increasing case, only some few in increasing case, in if we take only increasing, then dy by dx will be greater than and equals to 0, and in case of decreasing, dy by dx will be less than equals to 0. These two are the case of monotonically increasing and monotonically decreasing. Let me demonstrate you it by a diagram. If a function is increasing, then if a function is decreasing, let me take an example of decreasing. See, if I will ask in the interval b to c, tell me, is this function is decreasing or increasing? So you will say that, see, this is decreasing, this is also decreasing. Here the slope is 0. Yes or no? It will not affect that the function is decreasing or increasing. You can simply say that this function is decreasing. Means if a function is decreasing, the function will be like this, that is dy by dx will be less than or equals to 0. But if a function is strictly decreasing, then it will be like this. There will be no point where the dy by dx value will be 0 in strict decreasing case. Okay, now write some theory about it. If a function is continuous in closed interval a comma b and derivable in open interval a comma b, and first one a point, f dash x is greater than equals to 0 for all x belongs to between a and b, then fx is increasing function. And second point, if f dash x is less than equals to 0 for all x belongs to a and b, then fx is decreasing function. See, these functions are continuous and derivable, yes or no? So these are the conditions that if a function is continuous in closed interval a comma b and derivable in open interval a comma b, then f dash x, when f dash x greater than or equals to 0, it will be increasing function, and if f dash x is less than 0, then in between, see here, for all points belong between a and b, then fx is decreasing function. And you can write it also that when f dash x is only greater than 0 for all x belongs to a comma b, then fx is strict increasing or monotonically increasing function. And same for monotonically decreasing function. Let me take an example. If I am giving a function 2 by x plus 5, then prove that this function is strictly increasing function. So what will you do for finding this? First we will calculate f dash x. So f dash x will be minus 2 by x square. See here, x square is will be greater than 0 for all x belongs to R, yes or no? For every real number, x square will be greater than 0 except x not equals to 0. So therefore f dash x will be what? Always less than 0. This will never be equals to 0. So we will say that f dash x is less than 0 for all x belongs to R except x not equals to 0. Okay, so given function is strictly decreasing. Okay, now make a box and write down dy by dx when greater than equals to 0, then function is increasing. Dy by dx when greater than 0, then it will be monotonically increasing or strict increasing. Third one, when dy by dx is less than equals to 0, then the function will be decreasing, and when dy by dx is only less than 0, then function will be monotonically decreasing or strict decreasing. And when dy by dx is equals to 0, then this will call stationary point or critical point or turning point. Here neither increasing nor decreasing. The function will be neither increasing nor decreasing. Put it in a box. Okay. Now moving to the next topic, that is nature of curve. If some function is given y is equals to fx, then how can you tell that this function that the nature of curve between two particular points or something? See here, nature of curve is decided by d2y by dx square. See, when dy by dx is equals to 0 and d2y by dx square is greater than 0, then in any interval, sorry, don't write this, this will come in maxima and minima. So d2y by dx square when greater than 0 in any interval, then y is equals to fx is concave up in that interval. Either function will be like this or like this or like this. These all are concave up in the interval a comma b. Okay. Now when d2y by dx square is less than 0 in any interval, then fx is concave down or convex up in that interval. You can represent it like this, or sorry, it can be like this or like this or this. Okay, these all are concave down or convex up functions. Now what will be d2y by, if d2y by dx square is equals to 0? So when d2y by dx square is equals to 0, then that point is point of inflection, means the point where the function changes from concave up to convex up or vice versa. We can represent it like this. See, at this point, from after this is the point of inflection. This is the point where before that it was concave down, and means convex up, and after that it become concave up. Okay, now I'm taking one last question. Find the interval in which y equals to x cube minus 3x plus 2 is, first one, increasing, and second, decreasing. So for this, what we will calculate? First we will calculate dy by dx. So dy by dx will be 3x square minus 3x, sorry 3. Okay, so for increasing function, if I write increasing function, what is the condition for increasing function? That dy by dx should be greater than or equals to 0, means 3x square minus 3 should be greater than equals to 0, x square minus 1 greater than equals to 0, x plus 1, x minus 1 should be greater than equals to 0. You can write it as x is greater than equals to 1 and x is less than equals to minus 1. Okay, for decreasing function, dy by dx should be less than equals to 0, means x plus 1, x minus 1 should be less than equals to 0, means x will lie between minus 1 and 1. See one thing, if any function is written in this way, that is x minus a, x minus b, or x plus b is greater than 0, then you can write it as like this. That means which in these functions, uh, whichever is greater, that is in this, if we take x equals to a and x equals to minus b, this one a is greater, so we can write it as x is greater than a and x is less than minus b, means in this case you can write simply that x is greater than the greatest value and less than the smallest value. If x minus a and x minus b greater than equals to is given, then whichever is greater in between a and b, if you say that b is greater, then x will be greater than b and x will be less than a. You can write it like this. And when function is given like this, when less than equals to 0, or less than less than or less than equals to 0, and function is given, then you can write it like this, that x is in between the smallest value and greatest value among those two values. Okay, you can prove it by taking some points and putting it in this function. Okay, now I'm taking a number line. Our points are stationary points are -1 and 1. So increasing, x is positive, means x is greater than equals to 1, means this is uh, this is increasing function, so this will be positive, means this dy by dx will be positive. This x, yes, dy by dx is positive when x is greater than equals to 1, means in this interval, and when x is less than equals to -1. and x is a decreasing function, that is dy by dx is negative in the interval -1 and 1. You can put the value here and you can calculate it. Means if I take -2, put it here. -2 plus 1 is nothing but -2 plus 1, and -2 -1. This will be -1 into -3, that is 3. This is greater than equals to 0. This value is coming out positive. Same for this, you can put the values of x and find the value of dy by dx. Okay, so we can write that increasing function is in the interval between -infinity to -1 union 1 to infinity. This is the interval for increasing function, and for decreasing function -1 to 1. Okay, that's it for today's video. In the next lecture we will discuss about absolute minima, local minima, or relative absolute minima maxima or relative minima maxima, and some problems related to that. Okay, so before ending the video, please, if you like the video, please like, comment, share and subscribe the video, and thank you.